Hello, everyone, and welcome to the episode 58 of the Office Hours podcast. I am once again traveling, so the conditions under which I'm recording this is maybe not ideal, so we'll see how it turns out. In other housekeeping news, we are three people away from 100 subscribers, which is really exciting. So, maybe you can be one of the three. And then we'll cut off the OG list, and everybody after that will just be like, whatever. New blood doesn't count. Um, yeah, so we have Mo back with us. He's got something exciting for today, and we're gonna delve right into it. So, hey Mo, take it away.
Well, thank you, Vasily. Um, how is it going with your travels? Are you enjoying it at least?
It's all right. I mean, up north, it's probably below 20 degrees outside right now. It's all covered in snow, so, fun times.
Already?
Yeah, well, it's only negative 15, but apparently it's gonna get colder pretty soon too. So, um, I'm here visiting my friends and, we're working on a little project. So I'm here for next couple of days, and then I'll be flying back to Vancouver, where it's gonna be marginally warmer. So there's that.
Do they actually get like good summer?
Oh yeah, no, the summer's good. I mean, I don't know. Even winter. Last time I was here, it was like a lot of really, really sunny days in the winter with clear skies, and I kind of enjoy those because it's
Yeah.
more. It looks happier than just constant rain. So sometimes I feel like I can take a little bit of frost with clear blue skies and sun compared to like nonstop rain.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite season?
Oh, good question. I mean, probably like early summer. That's kind of the
That's
nicest
like,
one. Yeah. Like
ah,
May, June, July.
yeah, but that's not summer. I mean, it's not really summer until like June, July, but May, April. What do you call that thing again? Like that's
Spring.
spring.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I like this time too.
Yeah.
It's not too cold, it's not too hot. It's just right there in the middle, and you see everything coming back to
Yeah.
life.
I like that part.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
It's very
Yeah,
exciting. Yeah.
we are grounded. Yeah. Anyway, so I wanted to discuss an article that I found online with you. Um, I'm making this a habit now.
Yeah.
I keep finding. I mean, I enjoy reading these things, and I feel like, yeah, we might as well discuss it when I find something I find interesting. And something else that I think would we could share with everyone listening to us, and I know. And this one is about want to be a better programmer, master these 10 habits. I mean, it's cliche, I guess, but yeah, there are like 10 habits that you should master to be a better programmer. But quick,
Okay.
quick question,
Yeah.
quick question. I mean, you have experience with like developing developers, I guess. You put it in a way like that. But what do you what are like your top three attributes of someone that you would think, yeah, this person is good or has the potential to be good?
Um, it's probably the kind of questions that they ask if you approach a person and you ask them to implement something. The nature of the question is going to highlight a lot about their like the thought process and what they consider to be important, what they consider not to be important. Like I wouldn't be able to say specifically what type of question is like a dead giveaway, but pay attention to that. That's going to tell you a lot. I think the second thing is attention to detail because it's a very detail oriented business. And if you realize that person does not have a good attention to detail, it's going to be much harder for them because it's just you overlook tiniest things. that are crucial, and you spend way more time than you could have if you were paying attention to all the right things. And in terms of a third thing, uh, it may be in jest, but only partially so, but it's the ability to read the actual error message thoroughly.
Hmm. Yeah. You know what? I agree with this part, especially. I mean, because sometimes I've seen even like I think everyone has been like this. I don't know, maybe you not, but I hope so because you had your beginning too. But I think in the beginning you want to just find the solution so bad that you're not even reading the response of the
Hmm.
like the error response, you
Yeah.
know?
I think
And
the
then
other formative factor was that as far as search engines go, when I was starting to learn this stuff, well, when I was starting to learn this stuff for the first time, which was just a thing to do,
hmm,
there was no internet at all. In fact, there was no documentation, so it was just
there was no internet basically.
no, not for me, not at the time. And then
Interesting.
when I started kind of doing it in high school, I had internet at school and I had dial up at home, but there was no Google. There was Alta Vista Digital Search, which was like the one search that I knew on the internet that I was actually able to find something, but I had not even considered to be using it for the purpose. So you had to ask your questions on forums, and if you ask silly questions, you're gonna get ridiculed, rightfully so. So you really have to consider what you were gonna ask in the first place, and that
Hmm.
was like the last resort. Like if you couldn't figure it out on your own,
Hmm.
then you go on a forum. Because if you go on a forum and you ask something trivial, they're gonna laugh at you and be like, go go figure it out on your own. Like what the heck are you bothering us for? And so now that people just like literally copy paste the message, check it in Google, and then open Stack Overflow it as the first result and try to copy paste some answers until it works, it was quite different back then.
People
So
still do that. You know what? Basically, I feel like um many times I've described myself as a new school developer. And sometimes when we talk, I actually start to like accept it, like, yeah, new school development because I can imagine like I don't think I've ever posted a question in a forum.
you
Like,
know that meme. It was like a vampire movie with like Michael Sheen, where they're like dressed very exuberantly, like standing on a balcony, kind of looking from above with disdain. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Well, honestly, because right now I cannot imagine. Like, I would imagine, like, if I'm working on something and I post it in a forum, I'll be thinking about how many days will it take for someone to reply me,
Hmm.
and how long. Like, I don't know. I mean, I did like maybe Stack Overflow, but that's a long time ago. But yeah, I wonder how that feels. So, like, you just like stay stuck for days and you just like wait.
Well, the forum I was part of was pretty sophisticated. So much
Was it
so,
active?
oh, it was very active. So much so that at some point in time, they actually had their own Firefox extension, which would have like a little sidebar with like the hierarchy of all the different
Huh,
sub
okay.
forums, and you can see if you had like new messages or replies to your posts. Somebody actually managed to build a browser extension because it was probably even before Firefox was called Firefox, but they had an extension that you install, and sadly, everything changed. That forum is it was dead for many years. But yeah, it was very active. I was learning PHP, and I had like a very big PHP subsection where I was pretty active myself. And I remember asking some questions and getting like a thorough chewing out because that question like really didn't make sense and I just didn't understand it. So it was like a little newbie hazing, you could say. After that, I was very sure to, formulate
Mhm.
my questions better.
Mhm.
And as they say, a correctly formulated question contains within itself half the answer. So, in pursuit of formulating the question correctly, you may stumble upon the answer already, and then you don't even need to post anything. So, it worked out really well.
Do you still use Google to work?
For searching things, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I use Google. I don't I mean, I still use Google even in a way what I described, at least the first part, where I would like copy an error message into Google, but that usually is reserved for something that I've never encountered before. If it's like if I'm like dealing with some new software or new library, I do like a cursory search in Google and I search for keywords in like GitHub issues to see if someone encountered that before. Actually, searching in closed GitHub issues for something is a pretty good strategy. Sometimes you like uncover a thread where somebody went through the same thing and they like either closed it because it was as designed and we both were just not following the right way, or they did fix
Hmm.
it, but something, I don't know. So I still use Google to search for errors, obviously, and you can't really not do that. Um, So I'm
But
not I'm not begrudging anyone a use of Google. It's the copy pasting of the first response Stack Overflow answer is what I am
mhm.
begrudging people. So don't get me wrong.
And this is just a by the way question. I'm just curious, yeah, like on the average, how long do you think you spend doing like research for stuff like this when you work?
Like before or after, you mean?
Say you're working on something now, yeah, and you want to search for, I mean, how something works.
Right.
On the average, how long do you spend doing this research?
That's a good question. I think these days
Or do you read docs?
I usually just go through docs. I go through code examples and I try to see if what I see makes sense, like if it's intuitive enough as it is, and if it has like a um reasonable API. Um I mean, I look at number of like stars and number of downloads and things like that just to be sure that this is recent. Although for some things it's like last updated 7 years ago. I'm like, oh, good. No one touched it since. There's no new issues on
Yeah.
GitHub. It means it's stable as hell. It's like safe to use and things like that. Um,
Or it's closed.
or well, if the repo is archived, that's more of a annoyance because it's like if something does occur, there's nowhere to go. So like you're completely on your own. At least if the repo is open and you can still submit issues, then if something happens, there is better of a chance that there's going to be a response. But if it's archived and read only, it's like psh, forget about it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
well.
Which does happen occasionally. So I do some research. I never specifically timed myself, but if I have to pick between some variants, I would kind of do a cursory glance on both, or three or four, or whatever the case may be, and pick one which makes most sense, or the one that kind of feels the least weird, if that makes sense too. Because sometimes like I see some library and I see how they organize their API. I'm like, oh man, this just feels weird. No, it doesn't flow, so I'm like ignoring.
So if I'm going to put a number to it, I'll say on average you spend like 20 to 30 minutes searching for stuff
Something like that.
every time you search.
Depending on the thing. Um, I'm trying to
Or it could
find
take more than that. Maybe an hour.
maybe an hour. For some cases, if it's something huge, like um, I was trying to find a piece of software that I could self-host that allows me to do what Zoom and Google Meet do, with the ability
Mm-hmm.
to record both parties' video and audio on a server centralized. Because I want to do some recordings with my mom, but she's not technical and I don't want to overburden her with like setting up her computer, and I wouldn't for her to be able to join me on a phone, just connect and then I can grab the recording off a server and then process it like I normally do, right? And that took some time because there's not many options available, but for each one of them, you kind of want to go and see like, does it support the features you need? Like, so it's a process. It really depends on what you're looking for. But
Okay, fair
sometimes I would
enough.
just like find something. It's like, oh, this looks cool, yellow. Let's just deploy it on the server and see how it works. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess it depends. I
yeah,
guess it depends.
yeah.
One of the um habits that I saw in this article
Hmm.
is that I'm there's 10 of it, but I'm just gonna go through the ones that actually like that
Resonate
I
most.
that I think to be more um needed. How do you say it? Like the cogent,
Right.
like yeah, that's the word.
Pertinent.
Pertinent. Thank you. Yeah, that's the word actually. So the first one is ability to approach problems with analytical thinking. Um, and the guy said like good programmers don't rush to solve problems right away. They first try to understand the problem. And he said if he has 55 minutes thinking about the problem, he'd spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and 5 minutes to solve the problem.
Yeah.
And I think um, this is very important because I think if you are able to have like a very good mental picture of what, because at the end of the day, this is the engineering part of it, you know, being able to like find pieces or like stuff to put together to build something. You need to be able to have a good picture, mental picture of how it's actually going to work together, you know,
Hmm.
like, and so sometimes when you don't have this clear picture in your mind, you can get like, you can start to feel overwhelmed. This is when you start feeling overwhelmed, and then you feel stuck because you're rushing into battle unprepared.
Yeah.
Unprepared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which kind of ties into the first thing I said, is like the ability to ask the
Mm-hmm.
right questions. I was thinking about it in a context of like two people discussing something, one asking questions, but solving a problem of that nature is effectively an interrogation as of a sorts as well. You're asking like, why is this happening?
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
it's happening because of that. Why is that happening, right? And you try to unravel like the whole five whys model, where you
Yeah.
try to identify what's been happening and what might affect it. So it's very true. And yeah, what's the saying? I don't know. Five parts of preparation for one part of action, or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Pretty much. Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Something like this.
Something like this. I don't know exactly, but if like one of the traits of a bad software developer is that if you give somebody something and they immediately open up VS Code and start laying down code without even like spending a 2 minutes to consider what they're about to do. If they say
That
that, oh, I think this way, maybe, but that's a like a low level approach. You want to be able to play around various scenarios in your head to filter out obviously incorrect ones before you even start typing, right?
I agree. I agree. Me, I like to have like a very good clear plan of what I'll do if I need to. I write a lot, so if I need to like write it out, like give myself some diagrams or stuff like this, but like make a plan of the steps of what I want to do. But I've met other people who have different skills than what I have.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've seen people who have even been in the industry way longer than me who probably just they think as they write, and they they type it out of their head like they're typing Microsoft Word, whatever. Like they just really, especially when they're like, some people are really good when they're like coding with other people, so they're just telling you what you're gonna do. You're gonna do this, blah blah blah, and then it seems to work for them,
You
but
you ever see that meme where like this normal distribution, and on one hand it's
mm,
like the grug brain developer, and on the other end is like the mega brain developer, and in the middle is like this anxious like kind of
Nah.
careful guy. And basically like the really really dumb guy and the really really smart guy do like the most basic thing, and the guy in the middle is like really trying to like figure stuff out. So it kind of almost loops on itself. Like if you're really bad, you open up VS Code and start typing code. And if you're really good, you can also get away with just opening up VS Code and start typing code. But until you reach that point,
Yeah.
you want to be somewhere in the middle where you actually like consider a lot of things
Yeah.
before you commit to writing stuff. But I thought it was kind of funny because I was thinking about it's like for some cases I would just open up code and start writing because I know exactly what needs to be done, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That there are
So
some people like this.
yeah, it looks like from the outside it would be really hard to tell which camp you kind of fit in. I guess you
Yeah.
can only gauge that by the quality of the output once it's done. But once you see the quality of the output, then you can pinpoint a person who started writing code right away and a person who started writing code right away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think it also comes with like
yeah,
experience.
yeah,
Like, I guess, and maybe habit over a long period of time. Because I think at the end of the day, like you said, the brains are different. We have a different way to fire up our creativity. For some of us, we need all the ingredients around. For some people, they probably will just like start cooking and then finding the
yeah,
ingredients like as to go. So like yeah,
yeah,
it is
yeah,
what it is. But according to this guy, he was just saying like it's a good approach um to to have approach the problems with analytical thinking. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
think at the end of the day, you just need to find the approach that works best for
yeah,
you
yeah,
and um, don't get overwhelmed.
yeah,
Like I
yeah,
think if you have the good picture in your head, you know what you're drawing up.
yeah.
Otherwise, you just type in,
And
and
yeah,
this is how you just like get stuck.
yeah. Well, if I'm not mistaken, the word analysis, the root of it comes, it means like breaking into smaller parts.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
So this is I saw someone um from my I think one of the teams I used to work with, and he was drawing UML diagrams. And I saw this guy putting out UML diagrams, and I was like, bro, how long do you actually get to work? because, because if you spend this amount of time drawing out the UML diagrams on like Miro or whatever, all these fancy tools, I mean, how long do you get to actually implement these things? But honestly, I say this, but I might also have a similar habit. It's just like I don't draw UML diagrams. I probably just like write it out or I have a conceptual image of it. And but I'm curious. Have you ever had to write draw UML diagrams?
You mean
And
like proper UML diagrams? Like
yeah,
IBM
yeah,
Rational Rows UML diagrams?
yeah.
Uh, in school, like 20 years ago, yes. I mean,
I
I
guess.
do diagrams. I do a lot of diagrams. I just use Mermaid because I can type text and it converts it into diagrams. But I do diagrams, and sometimes I think I do them because not because they're that helpful to me, although they are, but to a more extent they're helpful to the rest of the team.
Yeah, this is the only thing. I do diagrams for documentation. Say like you want to document the feature or like
Hmm.
maybe pass it to like the technical writer or something like this. Like this is the only time I would spend the time to do that because I know myself. I could get lost in it trying to make it really good and all this kind of thing. That this takes an extra time or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But anyway, moving on to the next point. He also said desire for continuous learning, and I think we have discussed this many times on between us.
Yes, we
Like I
have.
think yeah, this is a very important habits to have, and especially with the amount of change, frequency of change that we have in our line of work, I think you cannot afford to not update your knowledge. And yeah,
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
it is what it is. Like
It's the
you,
quote from Alice in Wonderland, where, you have to run really, really fast to stay in the same place, and if you want to get somewhere, actually, you have to run even faster.
mm,
That's the best metaphor for learning in tech world, because there's just
mm,
constant onslaught of new stuff, and you're like running as hard as you can just to stay current. Like if you want to get ahead, it's like forget about it.
yeah, yeah. And these tools they get updated often, especially if you use like a framework.
Yeah,
And there is hardly anyone that writes like commercial or enterprise software nowadays that
without one.
wouldn't without one. So like, yeah, you constantly have to. When was the last time you felt like you had to learn about a new framework?
Uh, well, I mean, we're building all of our stuff in Next right now, so I had to learn that. And
Mm,
so far, I think we're continuing to do that. So, but they are updating themselves, so you still have to keep current with all the changes within the framework itself. But in terms of like learning something completely brand new, not recently, but I don't know. Maybe I get to learn something new outside of
yeah,
that. Yeah, you never know.
you never know. You never know. If you learn something new, please share with me.
Yeah.
I would like to gain from this too. I remember like there was a time I used to really crave to like I felt like I want to spend a lot of time learning about many and everything, just knowing everything. And this was me like maybe a few years ago, I think quite some time. But I start to realize that as I grew um in out in the work, I find like myself having less and less interest in learning more things that are not like stuff that I'm using or I have interest in using. For example, I remember there were times where like I would just like learning Go language just because someone said it's good
Yeah.
or just because someone said it is close to C++ and I just pick it up and just like doing something with it. I mean, this knowledge you don't lose them, but you could also streamline your learning into something that will be good for you. Like knowing about many programming languages, it's
Yeah.
there is a maybe there's an advantage to it, but I think there is more advantage in learning one very well.
Yeah,
What do you
we
think?
we did talk about this, and I used to do the same thing. I just found that if I don't use that practically, I will not retain that knowledge for too long,
Yeah,
right? Like I made various attempts at like learning Erlang and Elixir, and as I had some software that I was based on Erlang that I was running on my servers, I kind of had a reason to do so, and it was interesting to kind of poke around and see. But I never really written deliberately or commercially in those languages. So while I broadly understand the principles, I can't like just whip up a new file and start
yeah,
writing Erlang and it'll
yeah,
just work, right?
yeah,
So, but being informed about them and what they can do affects how you choose to do certain things in other languages. So I always keep saying that it's like,
yeah,
you have to be exposed to these things just to understand what's possible. Even though if you're not going to be using them directly, knowing what's possible in other languages will affect how you think about what you're doing with your language of choice.
yeah. I completely agree. I agree. I think it's like a transferred knowledge in a way. Like just yeah, this is true. Um, the next point the guy mentioned was effective communication and teamwork. Um, I'm like 70-30 on this one.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would say. I mean, it's clearly necessary, but you can become a great solo developer by yourself
Hmm.
without having to communicate with other people. So if it's meant in the context of commercial team-based development, then clearly having communication skills is very valuable. But like in a platonic sense, becoming a best version of your developer self does not really require communication with other people that much.
This is true. But I said 70-30 because I find like I guess it depends on what you call communication,
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
Like,
I was just thinking about it, kind of revising it, because like even asking questions on forums correctly is still communication, and you want to be better at it. So,
yeah, I
um,
guess.
yeah,
But and also maybe where you actually work it. So for example, if you work alone, like do you need to talk to anybody? If you are the sole developer on your team, I mean, aside from yes, it is working or it is we are still working on it, like what kind of other communication do you want to have? But if you work in a team, if you work in a team, yeah, you need to communicate because nowadays you have like all this like development strategies and like different kind of meetings that you're expected to contribute in and like to help your team like to understand how to build the story
mm-hmm.
into tasks and all these kind of things, and there are different stakeholders that you need to explain what is going on to. So I
Yeah,
guess it depends on where you are.
yeah. You know what?
Eh,
I'll probably actually 180 on what I just said, because if you have the ability to express your thoughts clearly, which is like a basis of good communication, like if you can't do that, you can't express your intent to a computer through computer language as well, I would posit. Because you're
yeah,
communicating with the computer in a sense by writing
yeah,
code. So if you're shit at communication with people because you can't clearly communicate what you
yeah,
want them to do, you probably can't clearly communicate what you want the computer to do either. So
yeah,
you kind of have to be good at it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, in a way, yeah. You know what? I'll probably increase my score to 85. I think I will go 85 85 15 on this one. Because
Okay.
the only time I just think like 85 for yes, it is true, but 15 just for like maybe because it depends on like the team.
Yeah, yeah.
And also like talking to computer is easy. Talking to people, not the same thing.
Uh,
Because especially if you're talking to people who don't understand. So for example, if you work, let's say you work as a backend dev or and you want to communicate an issue that you need a front-end dev to help you with, or vice versa. How do you even start your explain? Hopefully, God help you, both of you have a decent technical knowledge, and then you can understand things when you explain to each other. But in certain times, you just, is it working? It's not working. This is the only communication. So this is difficult. And now compare this to talking to someone who has no knowledge of technical knowledge at all. Like maybe someone in management,
let me ask you. You still haven't probably seen The Office Space, have you?
the movie?
Yes.
No,
Oh man,
no, no.
I keep telling you should watch it because it's like the classic phrase. It's like, what is it that you do here?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
I take the specifications from the customers and bring them to the engineers. Anyway,
I mean, this is some people's exact job. So like when you come to the engineers, like and then they tell you certain things and then you don't understand and you say like it should work because you already promised to someone else. I mean, there are moving parts here.
yeah,
So this is where like I feel like I don't know if this makes you a better developer, but it does make you easier to work with
yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
So this is the only major point because when people find it easy to work with you, I guess you will also find it easy to work.
yeah.
So we'll
That's
see.
true. That's
We'll
true.
see. Um, I also wanted to share like the time management and planning. He mentioned time management and planning. how do you manage your time,
Poorly.
Vasily?
Poorly. See, here, I don't know. Again, it feels like this is in a context of commercial development teamwork type scenario. I learned a lot of my chops outside of that. Well, with it, but a lot of it I also learned outside where I didn't have to manage my time at all. I would just do what I wanted to do for as long as I wanted to do it. Namely, building servers, installing operating systems on them, deploying various software, and like maintaining it and keeping it around. I had no timelines there. I didn't need to manage anything. I just had fun doing it and I learned a lot through it. So again, in terms of becoming a better developer in a sense of like a team player and a valuable contributor, sure, time management is a big deal. If you purely want to increase your engineering chops, maybe, like a big maybe, I would say. I don't know, maybe that's the thing that's kind of not like paying me well the dividends now that I am could be better at managing my time. Fair enough, but that does not really affect the level of my technical ability. It affects other things, but technical ability again in its platonic
Mm,
form, time management has very
yeah,
little to do.
yeah.
In
You know
fact,
what?
in
I
fact, you
agree
want to
with
be
you.
if you want to really increase your technical level, you have to be obsessive, which basically negates the whole concept of time management because you're just gonna sink
Yeah,
days
focus,
and weeks
zero
into
in.
something focused, not doing anything else. So that's probably completely in opposite
Yeah,
directions.
yeah. I completely agree with you. I just, in the context of working in a team, though,
Yeah,
like you said,
yeah,
like
yeah.
maybe you need to be able to manage your time. And I find like one of the biggest time stealers or time thieves, if that's a
Mm-hmm.
better word, is the meetings, like those meetings.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're useful, but this meeting could be a Slack message, really. Like, like this is my maybe selfish opinion, let me be honest, but because I think it's good to discuss certain things and everyone has like concept context of what is going on and you can iron it out. But I find like someone in cases where someone already knows what they want to do
Mm-hmm.
or what you want your team to work on, just just say it. Like, don't make us feel like we are here to debate because we are not really here to debate. You already know what you want us to do. So just say it and let's move on with our lives and go figure it out. You
I
promise
I
someone
kid
something.
you not. I kid you not. Yesterday I had a 2 hour long meeting and I was more confused at the end of it than I was at the beginning.
2 hours. Look at that. After 2 hours, you need even more time to be able to come back to your work because this is context switching too,
Yeah, context
like
switching in this case is really bad, and it's actually like time management by other people should be better. So that I might have mentioned it before. I think I have. It was probably like a good 10 episodes ago, but it was about like, is my day gonna be developer time or is it gonna be manager time? Like if I see meetings spread out in a day, then I know that I will not be able to
yeah,
do any coding work because I'm just gonna get context switched and interrupted all the time. The only time I can really do any sort of development work if there's like a contiguous 5 hour chunk of time that I can just tell everybody to go away. So, and if that means managing my time by just dragging like a huge block of time in Outlook and setting myself too busy, then I should be doing that. But at the same time, there's considerations at play. So I can't just
yeah,
disappear and leave the rest of the team hanging either. Although, I don't know. I just took a two
they'll be
week
fine.
vacation and they seemingly were alright for most part. So maybe I overthink it.
Yeah, they'll be fine. I feel like yeah, if you spend, because I was thinking recently, yeah, because I think I got some new responsibilities recently, and I was thinking about you were in my mind, basically. So I was thinking about how you were saying like, oh yeah, you have to like attend to people's questions and like, someone messaged you about this and all. And I was thinking, how do you get to do all of this and still do work? Because
Yeah, you really don't. At least I
yeah,
could not find a way to do both. If I want to just work the hours that the company is actually paying me for, it's really hard to do. And I'm not like I was when I was 18, where I could just work like 4 hours overtime and not even ask to get compensated for it. Like this is not gonna fly this time.
yeah. And it gets me questioning like when you when you work as a technical team lead, like a team lead that's still expected to contribute to like tasks and all.
Hmm.
I wonder how you manage your time, you know.
Sorry, one sec. Да? Кушай. Ну я сейчас приду. I think it's right around dinner time, so I probably should be hopping
Oh,
off
okay.
soon enough. But we can do like one
Okay.
more.
Yeah. I mean, anyway, I was just gonna say like, yeah, managing your time will be very good skill to learn. I guess it depends on like your context and like where you are in your journey. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, also I guess this is the last one actually.
Okay.
Openness to feedback.
Yeah, I mean
I find this to
that's
be
yeah.
very important.
Yeah, it's true. Um yeah, you'd rather have the critical feedback sooner. But the thing is, sometimes you end up in this interesting situation where you already know what you're not doing right, but you still haven't figured out how to do these things right. So having that same
Hmm.
feedback is like kind of it gets a bit irritating. It's like I know that I have this problem, but I'm still working on ways to figuring it out, right? So, but yeah, you
Yeah.
definitely want to seek out critical feedback, um, if you want to get better, as iron sharpens iron and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, you know what? I I I would really suggest to anyone to always like make themselves available for feedback. I don't know. I think even at any level, to be honest, I just feel like what I've learned. So I learn more. How would I say? Like I feel like I know stuff, yeah, and I
Mm-hmm.
do certain things certain ways, like the way I learned to do it, right? And just because I've been privileged to like work in like a few different teams, and I feel I've learned, I've picked up like different habits from different places. And I've always noticed that sometimes I learn more from these feedbacks than um, it makes my work better, in a
Yeah.
way. Because, like, I feel, especially when you work with, like, when you get to work with, like, more experienced people, like maybe the staff devs or, like, the people who have spent a lot of time um, working, they know a lot. And when they give you these feedbacks, like sometimes it could be very inconvenient, especially when it's on your pull request.
Mm-hmm.
And you just feel like, oh, this person is always bothering you, and like all these kind of things. And like, yeah, no, you could state your point and argue it and tell them they don't know what they're saying. But if you really look into it, it's an opportunity to learn more,
Yeah. I
And
was uh I was doing code reviews this morning because after coming back from LA, I haven't really. I was like catching up with a lot of stuff, so I wasn't like doing very in depth code reviews. And this morning after stand up, I said that I was gonna spend like a couple hours doing code reviews, and then I opened up like an MR, and after I was done with it, it said like 20 threads or something like that. And I was like, oh man, that's a bit too much, but well, hey,
yeah,
you wanted my code review, and I'm gonna give it to you. So
yeah, like those ones are really like the ones that make you stronger.
Yeah.
To be honest, and the thing is, I find like everyone has different. Also, during code reviews, I noticed that everyone has different styles of writing. And if you are able to learn about all these people's styles of writing, I guess at some point you can take something from here and there, and it just becomes part of you. And I think this is free knowledge, really. And I don't know. I say this, but I also understand that it could be really inconvenient sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
it is how you learn. Like it is in these tough moments that you actually build character and like you learn.
Yeah.
And I think even in every areas of life, to be honest, like
Yeah.
feedbacks, good ones.
The thing
They're really
is that it kind of goes back to that thing that we were talking about, when I was retelling my experiences at the gymnastics gym, where you really have to be able to be extremely confident in what you are saying during a code review, because
yeah,
you can as easily create bad habits in people as you can create good habits. So
true.
it's a you know what's the word? What's the expression? It's a that sword is sharp on both sides. Double-edged
Mm,
sword. Double-edged sword is the you can easily cut yourself with it as you can do other things.
yeah, yeah, I guess. Yeah, this is true. Yeah, this is true. I guess at the end of the day, you look for the positive, I guess. Like I guess honestly, you giving the review need to give the best version, the best work, like the best review. How do you say like good review?
Yeah.
Like some people they give reviews just for visibility sake, just because you want people to know that you reviewed this PR. So you just want to write something, ask a question, or say something. And then this is not, I mean, it works for you because you get your visibility point, but um quality reviews is actually when the person that you are reviewing actually gets to learn from what you have just said on the PR. So
Visibility code reviews tend to look suspiciously like visibility code reviews, though. So again, you gotta be very deliberate
yeah.
with this. And yeah, well, it's it's a fine line, and I think I wanted to kind of talk about code reviews as a subject for a while. We just kind of haven't really gotten to it. So maybe I don't know. Out of 10 points in that article, were those the only ones that you thought were worthwhile, or are we gonna do a part two?
Um, yeah, these are the ones. I think we mentioned a lot, to be honest. I
Hmm.
was gonna just talk about four, but I think we covered like seven or eight of them. If
Okay.
one,
So
one
maybe
there
we'll do
was,
part two for the other ones, and you can keep them a secret, so
yeah,
it'll be more
yeah,
natural. And then after
for
that,
sure.
we can do one on code reviews.
Yeah, you have new ideas on it?
I mean, it's probably all the same things that I kind of wanted to talk about before, about certain things about code reviews that I kind of need to get off my chest.
Okay, okay, yeah,
It's like
we'll do that. We'll
code.
do that then.
It's gonna be the clickbait. Code reviews are broken, and I don't know how to fix it. You know.
Okay, deal. Probably, yeah, we can find some time to do this. For
Right on.
sure, for sure.
All
But
right, Mo. Well, I believe the dinner has been called, so I have to run. But it's been a
yeah.
pleasure as always. And those three people who are watching who are not subscribed, you can still make it within the first 100, the OGs. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Bye.